Morning,
Good
James.
morning. You ever have one of those days where you wake up and you go downstairs and a huge spider crawls out of your headset before you put it on?
Really? No, I've
Yeah.
never had that. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh man, why out of the headset? Why would it do that? It's like
I
a
don't know.
nightmare fuel spider.
Oh. I see them around occasionally because my office is in the basement, but you never know where those suckers are going to pop out at you.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in the basement for sure. Yeah, it's kind of a balancing act as well with the basement. Like if you have centipedes and spiders, right? Like they kind of fight each other. It's like a constant war. And if you kill some of the spiders or kill some of the centipedes, they just take over one or the other. So you have to like just let them go at it.
Yep.
But cool.
Yeah, I usually leave them alone unless they invade my space.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't really abide that.
No, hopping inside the headset, that's pushing it. Alrighty, let's get the screen all set up over here. So yeah, good to have everyone with us. I know chat will probably be a little bit less active today as we're trying out a daytime stream on Monday. We wanted to do one last stream here with Linux just to at least get the recordings done afterwards, and then you would have this because there are no streams next weekend. And there's quite a bit of content to chew on from yesterday and to today. So this way you're going to have 3 recordings of Linux to go through over the span of like almost a week and a half on your own, in addition to attending the live streams. So yeah, thank you, James, for coming here today and leading us through. So this is a James show.
The James show. All right. So we're going to start off talking about system control, systemctl. It's just a Ubuntu, or it's the what am I trying to say here? It's like a standard tool for managing services, okay, on like Linux systems. So it manages the systemd service. So if we do like systemctl list units, we can do type equals service all, and then that'll show us all of the services running on the system. And notice that we can, I'm not getting the full view.
Yeah, you got a good zoom in going on over there.
Oh, okay, there we go. So this is closer to the full view here. So we can see the service that's running, or whether or not the service, whether or not it's loaded, whether or not it's active, and then the sub column over here is a little bit more info about it. What, you know, if it's running, whether or not it's inactive and dead, or if it's active and excited, and then some descriptions over here. We can't. That's still getting cut off, but yeah. So that. Scroll back over here, and then if I go down, you can see there's a lot of services running. Quite a few. Still going. There we go. So is that 173?
173 units listed, yeah.
Oh. And you can just press Q to get out of that. So we can check this. We can use this to do a couple things. We can check the status of a service. So say I want to know whether or not the SSH service is running on the machine. So I can do system control status SSH. What is it? sshd.service. I spell correctly. You'll think for a minute.
It's taking a little bit longer.
Yeah, it shouldn't take this long. Right? Yeah. I spell everything right? Yeah.
Let's take a look. Yeah, system control status, SSH service. Try just the SSH service.
Okay.
Take a look at that instead of the daemon itself. You know, out of curiosity, I guess scroll up. Take a look. Like, did we actually? Oh, there it is.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. So let's see where we were at here. Okay,
I was beginning to think that we didn't have SSH installed, and I was like, I don't think that's possible. But
yeah, I don't think that's. So here we can see we get a nice little active status. It's running, and how long it's been running for. We can see that there's some documentation that we can refer to, main PID, just some other boilerplate stuff here. We can do the same thing as before, where we can keep going down. Maybe not. Nope, it's at the end. Okay. So yeah, we can back out of that. And if I wanted to change the service, I could do system CTL. Let's stop it. Stop. And stop the service. Oh, I need to probably do sudo. There we go. And now we can do you can see it's inactive now. So we can see the status changed because we stopped it. So I'll throw that in the notes over here really quick. We can do units equals service all to we can start a service, we can stop a service, we can restart a service, we can, what else, reload a service, we can also disable or enable. All right, so I'll just briefly go over these. So start, obviously, we want the service to start and stop, same thing. Restart will stop and start the service. Reload will cause the service to not stop, but reload its config file. Disable stops it from automatically running on startup. And enable will allow it to automatically run on startup. So we can list all of the enabled services if we want to. Also, with this list unit files, type of service, and state equals, can't type. So we're just these. You see, we use these flags here, and so now we can see. Let me pull this over here because there's some extra info we're not seeing again. All right, so we see the state, the current state, and the vendor preset, and that tells us out of the box when you installed the operating system whether or not this service is designed to run or be enabled by default. So sometimes you'll see the state is enabled, the vendor preset is disabled. That means you changed that. Or something changed it. So yeah, we can see these are all the enabled services. Down that whole list there. And we can do the same thing for disabled.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think
see, we see it.
That's really good to show over there. I think also, what would be good to kind of talk a little bit about the system control application for what it is, right? So, James, you mentioned that we're effectively interacting with the systemd service on the Linux operating system that manages all of this for us. And this is kind of like a unique thing with Linux compared to Windows, that Linux has like system control, journal control, other controls. There's quite a few others that allow you to interact with the underlying mechanism that actually manages all of this. So that's a very Linuxy kind of thing to do. This is a nice way of interacting with services. Like if you were to have to actually go at the systemd level, which is the actual service manager itself, you'd have to be building scripts, changing config files, and Linux provides you. Remember going back to that Unix philosophy, kind of like do one thing really well. Well, if the systemd manager is effectively managing all these different services through configs, let it do that. Like let it just do that thing. And then as opposed to having James and myself going inside of systemd and changing config files around, we can just use something like system control, which is a nice kind of unified view that we can all use, and it just does its one thing. So it's pretty cool. That's a nice touch, I think, personally.
Yeah, nice. Let me resize this here. So again, I'm going to hit Q to get out of that. And I will put this command in the notes as well. Oops. All right, so we're gonna, this command is gonna should list all enabled services or disabled services and show their default config. All right, I think that's it for the system control. If I'm missing anything, let me check here. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say is you can also sudo system control power off. That'll shut off the box. You can also reboot the box just from the command line. No more pressing the power button. We're going over here, and I don't even know how to turn this one off from the top of my head.
I think it's somewhere in the top right, like by the Wi-Fi icon. I know. I wouldn't use it either.
Oh,
I would use a shutdown or another service myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can also do shutdown without using system control, but just wanted to point out that you can also do something like that if you wanted to. All right. Anybody have system control questions? Real quick before we move on.
Yeah, I think this is the first time a lot of students have actually even seen this form of service interaction on the command line. Like on Windows, we were hopping around on the GUI level. But yeah. Edu Marie, you want to do a daemon reload? I think did you run through that, James? I was looking at the chat over there.
I briefly discussed like reloading.
Yeah, cool.
I didn't actually perform it. I can. Systemctl.
Yeah, there's a couple different things we can do. We can do like a restart. We can do a reload. A couple different options for us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because I think I stopped it.
Yeah.
Or disabled it or something. There we go.
Nice.
If we can do. So we can check the status, see that now it's running. We reloaded it, but we didn't change anything in the config, so it's nothing changed. But oh, we can see that the reloading message. That's nice.
Yeah. Pretty sweet. Yeah, I love that Linux system control. Like when you're running around and messing with it, like you can see the last bit of log entries of what the service is doing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's helpful.
Save's got a question in chat. So question kind of off topic, but how hard would it be to make a Linux OS that has a clean UI already rising pre-done with configs and make it lightweight on CPU and RAM? I mean, I don't think that would be hard. It would just take a little bit of time. I wonder if someone's even got, like if we go to distro watch, I wonder if anyone even has like a riced up Linux OS. And for those in the chat that are new, when we're saying rising, we're effectively saying like a nice, shiny, good-looking Linux OS with all the bells and whistles and things added, colors, terminals, moving images, basically like those flashy hacker OSs that you see like in the movies. Like that's just effectively like rising your Linux.
NixOS.
Yeah, I think there's actually there's a script. I'm trying to remember now. There's actually a script you can just run that it like instantly rises your Linux. I'll look at it on the side.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna move on here to talking about cron tabs. So cron tabs are like, it's like task scheduler kind of. It's a way to schedule automations on your box. So we can do like set my editor here. I can do, so we can see we have no cron tab right now set up for our user. We have no tasks scheduled. We can get some nice info about it if we do the tech E command. It's going to take us in here. At the bottom. Okay. So this is the config file that we can add cron jobs to. And the format for that is you specify a time, how often you want something to run, and what you want to run, essentially. So we can do, let's see here, I've got, so there's 5 fields. There's minute, hour, day, month, and then day of the week. So day of the month, and then month, and then day of the week. And then you enter your command that you want to do. So we can do echo hello world to a file. Okay. So now I can do cron tab. Tech L to list the cron tabs for this user. And here we go. We've got one down here. And let's see here. We've got a website. So it's Crontab Guru. This website, I put it in the chat, helps you calculate how you want, like how often you want your cron tab to be scheduled. You can see, like, if I go over here and do day 0, it's going to tell me that it's going to run for 1 to 2 minutes on Sunday. Or if I change this to 1, it's going to run at 1 minute on Sunday. A star means it runs at every minute. And then this would be on this day. This would be like every minute of every day forever. So you can use this to help you out with your setting up cron jobs instead of just doing like I do sometimes and fumble through it. So we have Crontab E.
Oh yeah, I didn't show James the link you put inside a chat. That is because I need to make you a VIP so you can actually drop links. 1 second.
Oh.
So I disabled that. 1 second over here.
That's pretty wise though.
Yeah. Okay. Try dropping that link now. Let me just make sure that's working properly. Yeah. Cool. There we go. Just so we don't have random people dropping things.
Yeah. All right, so we've had this cron job running now for hopefully a minute. Let's look and see. Yeah, we have a hello.txt, which we told it to do. We told it every minute to append hello world to this file. So it went ahead and created the file. And if we cat hello.txt, it's been 3 minutes. So this has been running for a couple, it's just going to keep doing that infinitely.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We can also, if I go back up to, if I go back in here, we can remove it. We can comment it out if we want to, if we just maybe want to come back to it. Let's try another one. So what is this? This is so this would be the syntax to run something like every minute or every 12th hour. If I wanted to run something, you know, a backup, let's say every 12 hours. That's right now. We could do CP tech A. Let's just copy hello.txt. Okay, so now every 12 hours, we're going to back up our files. We're going to back up specifically this hello.txt file, and we're going to put it in var backups, you know, so it can live over there and be updated and backed up every 12 hours. And let's also throw the syntax in there.
While you're doing that over there, James, kind of hacking away at stuff. Yeah. So first of all, a couple extra follows we had over here. So thanks, Save and Jordan, following the stream. Good to have you over here with us. We got Null joining the chat as well too. just bumped you up to a VIP. Null. Null's actually one of the other SOC 100 instructors. He's hanging out. He's lurking in chat over here. Can you hear me, James, by the way?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah. Can everyone else hear me? Or is it just Null that can't hear me? It's on his end. All right. Yeah, so Cap City Gaming as well too. So due to the caution in the lab to make sure to stop this before closing the lab, I'm guessing this can persist through log offs. Yes. So yeah, James, good call out on that. So I almost said Crontab, but Crontab. So this journal over here, effectively, that is allowing us to create these scheduled tasks just like we do in Windows. This is like the same thing. When we were inside of Task Scheduler in Windows, we're now doing the exact same thing in Linux, but using Crontab to do that. And yes, Cap, this will persist. So whatever you set up as your scheduled tasks, just like inside of Windows, we'll be able to we'll be able to see that running as well. So if you set up a scheduled task to keep spamming hello.txt inside of your Crontab, then yeah, it's going to keep going. So James will show a little bit later on, I think, how to actually clear the Crontab right out.
Yep, we're going to get to that.
Yep.
And then I can show that right now, actually. Just tech R. So now we have no more. Now these are gone. This file is still here, but anything we added here is gone. Oops. All right, does that make sense? Does everybody understand what I've explained so far as cron jobs go? Crontab Guru was pretty helpful.
Yeah. Crontab, I mean, super easy. The syntax is a little weird, like when you're first seeing those asterisks, right? Like working with seconds, minutes, hours, days, etc. Like that's the only kind of like wonky thing once you start working with the timing system. But that's why we linked you the where was it? Crontab Guru, just a little bit up above over there in chat. So I'll kind of link that again. So there's a reason why that is just such an easier way to make sure that you're using the right timestamps, because unless you're effectively like day in, day out being that Linux sysadmin, it's going to be hard to remember that. And that's why there are tools like this, because the expectation is not to have you remember all of these things that you're only going to be using once in a while. Unless it's your day-to-day thing, then of course you'll remember it. But yeah, super simple, super easy, right? And this is a little bit different than the task scheduler in Windows. And when we looked at it, there was much more granularity, account permission, triggers, etc. And this, again, that Unix philosophy that we talked about yesterday, right? That simplicity, do one thing really well. And here's a great example of that.
I tried to Crontab.
Yeah, we're gonna throw our notes cast. I need to actually dump my notes still from yesterday's Linux stream inside of the SOC 100 student chat as well. We'll add James after as well.
So let's do one more where we back up our entire home directory we could do every 12 hours like I showed, but let's just, for the sake of not having to stand here for 12 hours, let's just do like 1 to 2 minutes. So this one, if we look at what I did here, doing 1 to 2, sorry. So every minute from 1 through 2, so twice, but not always. That way, in case I forget. And then we want to make a directory if it doesn't exist. Backups. Backup. And we'll say okay. So this will perform copying actions and stuff, but it won't actually make the directory if it's not there. So you can make the directory in the command line if you want to, or you can just have it always check with this make dir tac p option. It'll check if the directory is gone for some reason. It'll make the directory before it copies everything. That way you're always sure to get the files where they need to go. So, unless it doesn't work. So we'll give it a minute to run. Not yet. Yeah. Get the 20 ounce.
James is chugging it over there. Yeah, we'll do a coffee break soon. Probably in the next like 15-ish minutes. Everyone go grab a nice cuppa. Yeah, you run a date command. Just kind of see if it's actually tripped over. I like to do that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, seconds are counting up. Should have been, yeah.
I wonder if it's.
Did you have the permissions? Probably not.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Does sudo work on this?
I mean, like it could. I think it's going to be a little iffy. I think you'd have to throw this on the root cron tab just to be sure.
What if I do?
Just throw it in a directory that you own, like your home directory.
Yeah, for sure.
Problem is, you're also going to be trying to be backing up
the backup.
Yeah, all that var stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we can just throw it in home. Let's see if that works.
Yeah, let's see what you did over there. Directory. Yeah, I think your sudo it should work because so if you run a sudo tacl on the sudoers file, you can run it without password, so there's no prompt.
Right.
Yeah, so it should be fine. Just give it a minute to trigger over there. That's right, Null. So Null's already slamming variables over there, which we are going to do soon. We're going to be doing some variables and scripting real soon. Maybe we have to pull Null in the stream too. Get all three of us going. So let's rope him in here.
Nice. Maybe it doesn't like that make directory. I wonder if I.
Let me see what you were writing. Oh. Yeah, because every single time you're going to be running it to make the directory ahead of time. So just make the directory first. And yeah.
Oh.
Sudo, yeah.
It doesn't like that I'm putting it in the home directory.
Yeah. Just make sure all your permissions are in check. You're going off script, going wild over there. Yeah. But the Crontab command over there, probably better to just remove the see how you have sudo bin make directory p. I would say just get rid of the whole make directory itself, and then just have instead of constantly trying to make the directory, because if it's already existing too, it'll skip by it, but it might run into an error or something. No, we're gonna have you on the Vim stream, okay? You probably hit too many backspaces.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. Wait, so hold on a second here. Let's take a look at your command. To make directory attack P. So you can probably get rid of all of that and then just leave the CP tac A for everything else.
Oh, I didn't delete I need to delete back to here. That was the problem.
All that, and then leave that space. And I think you've got 1 to 2, 4, 4. Okay. I think that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, cool. And then should be good. As long as you got your directory set up and all the permissions, it should be fine, I'd say now.
Yeah. Nope. Just reading chat. Yeah, not sure why that's not working.
Let's see what you have over there. Hop back inside the cron tab.
Nope.
All right, so copy everything in home Ubuntu to home user backup. Just double check that you actually have full permissions for all of that and that your Crontab setting. So from Crontab Guru, is that what it said?
Yeah, it's every minute from 1 through 2.
Maybe just put it like every minute.
Yeah.
And then copy tac A, home Ubuntu, everything inside there. Yeah, we can look into some other advanced copying things later, but double check the permissions on home user backup and then save this file, and then we should be good to go.
Oh.
There you go. Because when you ran sudo make directory the first time, so it put it under root. Yeah.
That was a gotcha. There we go. All of the directories belong to me.
That's right. And then, yeah, I'd also recommend to take a look at the cron tab itself. Maybe just do like a reload. So just to make sure that we're all good. I'll drop inside the chat over there. Just to be sure that it knows what to do.
Cron.service. Spell it correctly too. Reload cron service. Cron service not found.
Maybe just hit like a tab, see what's actually. No, it's not letting you do it. Okay. I'm not actually sure how the cron service was configured on the system, so it should be fine with that. But let's double check the. So you're trying to copy everything inside of a home Ubuntu, right?
Yes.
So let's just do a little ls inside here. Take a look and see what you got inside of your home folder. So you've only got hello.txt. Yeah, so that should be the only thing that I think we'll copy over, because we're not copying directories over as well. So we can give it a minute to fire over here.
Strange.
Copy.k, home, Ubuntu, everything. I mean, it should pull. Okay, 1 second. Let me just take a look at that command over there.
Do I need a slash after user backup because that's a directory?
Yeah. Put the / inside there. Now, if you want the directories as well too, you can throw the -r, but we just want to get the hello.txt inside there for now. Yeah. So let's just go ahead. We can speed up the cron tab.
Cool.
Instead of waiting that long. Go back inside the cron tab and just make them all asterisks instead of the 1. Otherwise, they're just gonna be kind of sitting around here, going to coffee break and everything as well too. So yeah, double check you got everything inside there.
So change that to var backups and then make something in the backup directory.
Just we could probably leave that alone for now because we're the full ownership of user backup.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just hit a little right quit. Yeah. Cool. Let's take a look inside of that directory now of user backup. Nothing yet.
Yeah, okay. Give it a couple seconds maybe to fire.
Yeah, so 1447, hit the date again, and then once that hits 1448, I think it should trigger.
There we go.
because it's at every minute.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, so that's effectively, yeah, the cron tab is back in action. Instead of setting it at every minute 1, because that would have taken a little bit too long. So if we keep it at all asterisks, that can demonstrate the cron tab a little bit easier. Otherwise, it would have waited over for the next minute 1.
The next hour.
Yeah, which would have been a lot longer. So, yeah, so we effectively copied everything over. There's more effective ways to do that as well too. We can throw in some recursion, we can throw in some sync capabilities just for like incremental changes and incremental backups, which we might get to that a little bit later in some of the advanced scripting side of things. But effectively that is it, right? We open up Crontab, spam in a couple asterisks based on the configuration from Crontab Guru for our needs, and just make sure always double check the permissions, right? So if you're going to go mess around, if you're running sudo and you're creating new things, remember sudo is going to default over to root. And then we can go and just chown that up, change it up to our permissions, and then we're all set. So cool.
Yeah. And then I'm going to delete them all. Crontab -r. And yeah, I think that's everything for Crontab. Anybody got questions?
So following over in chat, because I know people are kind of in their workday and stuff, kind of lurking and whatnot. But any questions on the general cron tab side of things inside of chat? Cool. So no questions over there. I guess we can kind of move right along. Cool. Next set of content we're going to look at is software administration, I think, right? With package managers.
Package managers.
Yeah, package managers is pretty good.
All right, so software administration, package managers. Pull up my... All right, so we use APT for this version of Linux. So we can do sudo apt update to update it. Take a second. It's going to pull down all the updates down to the etc. apt sources list, or apt sources list, sources list .d. It's where it pulls all the information from when it needs to install a package. So we'll give that a second to update.
So we got a little message over there from Steven. So from what I've read, Linux doesn't have an automatic update feature like Windows. So you'd use a cron job to keep it updated, right? Yeah, you could do a cron job. You could do a system service, which you could interact directly like with systemd, like we showed before. You could write your own script for it. You could write a bash script that is then run off of a cron job or off of a system control interacted service with systemd. There's a couple different ways you could do it, but yes, the other thing with Linux though is you don't necessarily always need to be running automatic updates, not necessarily, and you have to be careful with that. Throwing in a full like apt update and app upgrade, which we're going to be talking about, could effectively break your Linux system, and you're going to be in a lot of pain, which is called dependency hell. Remember that Linux is really stable. We talked about the kernel space, And when we're running upgrades and we're running service changes and we're reloading modules, that's how you can get into kernel panic, because you're effectively loading modules directly into the kernel space, whereas Windows kind of lives in user and kernel space. So, for example, remember how we said that like if you install something Windows, you have to reboot, or if you uninstall it, you have to reboot most of the time, especially patches. When you run Windows Update, you're always getting that like, oh, we must restart to continue installing updates, and because it's a very controlled process to make sure that nothing actually breaks. Now, Linux is not necessarily like that. Linux assumes that you've read the documentation, that you know what you're doing, and you know why you're doing it. So I personally do not recommend just blindly updating and upgrading everything when you're just new to Linux. Chances are you're going to break something. You're not going to know effectively what happened. So I would always recommend just to do like a sudo apt update is what we're doing, and then upgrade the packages individually until you're comfortable and know what you're doing. So just take your time. Yeah, for sure, Steven.
Right, so we can now that we've updated, we can upgrade everything, but like Anthony said, that takes a long time and you don't know what you're going to break, so it's best to just upgrade the things you need as needed. So we can install something with Zim, so we can do...
Yeah, we can go ahead and install anything we want. I think there's...
Yeah.
Zim should be there. That's just like an easy thing to install.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's. I wanted to show something else off. So what if I decide that there is no spoon and I just want to see into the matrix? So I can just type C matrix, but I don't get it. But it says, okay, we don't have it on installed, but here you can install it. So often, if you try to type a command and it doesn't find it on the system, it'll usually tell you how that you can, try to install it. So let's try that.
Yeah, so you can see on the right-hand side, right? It's just kind of installing, doing its thing. And remember yesterday we talked about in Linux everything being a file, right? So what's happening here is this package manager is going online to these repositories, is what they're called, these source lists. And it's just going to go straight to the URL that's inside of these lists, and we can take a look at that in a little bit. And it grabs various files, and it puts them around the Linux system. Now, some of those files we'll learn later on. This is a little bit more advanced, but these are things called like header files. And header files are really deep levels of code that Linux will rely on at a high level. It's a way to think about it and understand for now. These header files provide a dependency for other files to run. And you're going to hear that term a lot. You're going to hear a lot about dependencies, especially when you're working with inside of Linux. And what's happening right now, like I said, is grabbing these files around. Some of them are headers, some of them are configs that you're aware of, some of them are just regular files, some of them are compiled binaries like executables. It's grabbing it and putting them in all the right places and making some updates and changes to what's existing on the system. Because remember, there's no registry. So that's effectively what you're seeing on the right-hand side. Whereas when you're running that Windows installer, a whole bunch of changes are happening inside your registry, some user space related activities happening, but then there's a reboot typically following anything deeper to fully install the system, the software. But now, so Linux doesn't have to reboot. And that's what we were trying to highlight, the more optimization that Linux does have. It's faster as a result, it's more performant, more powerful, but also more dangerous, because you are directly able to interact with the kernel space over here and interact and load modules. No rebooting required. You just have to do a quick reload, if anything, at the terminal line. So powerful, yet dangerous. And what it's doing here is just copy pasting a whole bunch of files all over the file system and making some updates to existing files. That's all what's happening at the package manager level at this time.
Yeah, so now that we got that installed, we can just try to run our command again and see what happens. And now we are Neo. Oh, that's
Nice.
laggy.
It's, Matrix has some high ping right now, a little bit of lag.
Cool. And then we can remove it if we wanted to with, I don't know why you ever would, but we can purge CMatrix if we want to get rid of it completely from the system, or we can remove it if we want to keep the config files on the system. Let's purge it. It's going to ask me if I want to confirm. It's going to tell me how much disk space we'll get back.
Kim, I don't know what are you dropping in chat over there with S password?
Could it not be your password?
Yeah, it's password. You might want to change that now. But yeah, Steven, the first time. I hope I'm saying your name right too, man. Sorry, I don't know if it's Steven or Stefan. It's kind of a toss-up whenever I see a Steven with a PH. I've been told Steven and Stefan, so you let me know. But yeah, I don't think James and I, we never forgot the first time we saw The Matrix. No one does.
Mm-hmm.
And KS, cool. Thanks for being here in the meantime. I know you got work to do. We have a pretty decent crowd, though, for like a Monday morning stream. This is interesting. We had, I think, like 55, 60 people on Saturday, which we were expecting, but decent size for Monday. So yeah, thanks, KS, for being here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up and watching me go through some Linux. All right, so we went over how to install things. The only other thing I can think of is if you do like, and you do this, your sudo apt install command, and then you do tach-y, it'll automatically confirm that for you. So normally when you're installing something, it'll ask you if you want to confirm this much disk space will be used, you want to proceed. This will automatically just go through as if you already accept. I think that's all I've got for package managers.
Cool. Nice. Let's take a look and kind of see where we're next. We can probably take a quick little coffee break here too. Next, yeah, we got 3 more labs to go. We're going to actually hop into Vim, I think, after this, right?
Yeah, we're going to hop into Vim. It's going to get a little bit more dense from here. We're going to ramp it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's the first time hopping in the Vim space. Karina, morning. Glad to have you back with us as well too. You're here every stream. We appreciate that. And yeah, I know you're in and out of things. You did miss system control, which I guess you can catch up on the recording. But
put the notes back up here if you want to take a quick read on them.
Yeah, James has some notes for you on the left-hand side. We're going to take a little coffee break here, so you can kind of read on the left-hand side. We also had another follow. Null, thanks for being here. Thanks for following as well too. And Kim, I figured, so the password 123, Kim, was probably the find, search, and grep lab, right? What we went through yesterday. Were you just messing around with that? I feel like that's what it was. Hey, Wild Piece. Cool. All right, I'm gonna update the stream that we're doing. Advanced text editing with Vim. Put a little heart on that this time. Then I'm gonna go. Cool, I think we're good over there. Cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and Steven, yeah, so streams typically 1 to 2 days after. These streams are they're like 32 gigabytes on a download, and they have to go through a couple things. So there's a download from Twitch, an edit, render, and then upload, and then processing. It literally takes, it's not a lot of actual work that I need to do, but the time, I think it's like 1 to 2 days just to kind of do it all. So I'm probably gonna have the first stream up later today, second stream up tomorrow, third day after kind of thing. But we also have no streams next weekend, so you have plenty of time to catch up on the recordings, because this Linux portion was quite dense. We covered a lot, and I mean, you went from the Linux desktop, opening up calc, and we are now messing around with Crontab, and we're about to hop inside of Vim. We also did some really advanced stream redirection yesterday, so a lot of ground to cover. But James, let's go fuel up. Let's go get some more round 2 coffee.
Sounds good.
All right, let's throw a little beer back. Okay. We are back in action. Ready to go through. This is our first time inside of Vim, so this is going to be this is going to be fun. Everyone's got their first story of how they start off with Vim. Vim is so we use Nano. We used Nano before this. You saw the simplicity of Nano. That's a nice, easy introduction to command line text editing. Vim is a whole other beast. Vim is Nano on steroids. It's a very powerful text editor on the command line. In fact, there are programmers in the world right now, they literally will just live inside of Vim. Like, they don't use any of the other fancy tools. They will program full professional, enterprise grade, valuable software just inside of Vim.
Yeah. James, and Anthony, I think yesterday you said Nano was like a basic version of Word. Vim is kind of like a basic version of VS Code, almost. Like, you can do a lot in it. You can run commands, write a script and run it without exiting Vim. It's we're gonna see some stuff right now.
Oh,
okay, so Vim. So let's Vim hello.txt. Oops, actually, let's actually, it's fine. I forgot I already had hello.txt in this directory. Okay, so here we are in Vim. And the first thing you'll notice is that if I try to type, well, that didn't work. So it automatically changes to insert mode sometimes, not always, but normally you can't type to start with. So like I'm trying right now, it's not working. So you can hit I to go to insert mode, and you can see that at the bottom. And now I can type. I can say help world, just for illustration purposes. So you hit I to insert, and then this is where some people get stuck, because okay, now I can insert, but can't do anything else. Escape. Stop. You know, people get locked in here. So you have to hit escape to leave insert mode. And then the way you quit Vim is you can do Q, or if you want to save your document, you can do : WQ exclamation mark to force it, and then it'll exit Vim. So that's the basics. So you do I to insert, and then you hit escape to get back out of insert, and then you do : to go down here to this command area, I guess you call it, the command line, if you will. Okay, so that's the first basic commands that you should probably know. So I'll put those over here. So I.
Karina saying there was an ongoing debate at the real job of Vim versus Emacs. Yep.
I don't want to say that. The next one that we have is you can hit, if you're not on insert mode, you can hit V, and that'll take you into visual mode. And what visual mode is, you can go up and it'll highlight things. Say you wanted to select all of this, and let's say I wanted to copy it. I can hit Y, and that's it. See down there, it says down here, it's 4 lines yanked. I like that it uses the terminology yanked. But, and then I can go back into with I back into insert, or I don't even have to go into insert. Now that I've copied those, I can just hit P and paste what I copied. I'll try to keep this list updated as we go, so we can do V. Visual mode. You can do Y, not a capital Y. Copy. You can also do YY to copy a line. So if I come up here and I hit YY, and then I go down here, I hit P, I copied just that line, just by hitting YY. I didn't have to go into visual mode or anything. All right, now say I wanted to delete that word. Just delete hello. I go colon, DW. Oops. It's not colon DW, it's just DW. DW. There we go. And then I can delete the next one. I can delete a line with DD. And oh yeah, Vim Adventures. No mode. I like Vim Adventures. So you can also do like find replace. So I can do colon and like %s/ what I want to find. So I can do hello and then / what I want to replace. Goodbye. And then / G to go to the end. There we go. So now all of hello is replaced with goodbye. And so then if I wanted to place just a single word, I can do goodbye, hello. Replace them all again.
We should pause there as well too, because this is, I know, like even CI, you're like asking like, how did you get into Vim? So maybe let's just kind of rehearse that once more right from the top. Getting into Vim using either the arrow keys or the HJKL keys. Either one's fine when you first get started, but you should probably start using the Vim way of doing things. But yeah, maybe take them right from the top again, James, just once more. Because Vim is something different.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back out of here. All right, so we want to open up a file. We just Vim a file, hello in this case, and it opens it up. And when you get in here, you have to hit I to start inserting. So now I can start typing words. And then to get out of insert mode, we have to hit escape. And that takes us back out. We can still move our cursor around, but we can't really type. And then we can start doing, some quicker keyboard commands. So we can like V to enter visual mode, and then that lets you go up and highlight whatever you want. And then you can hit Y to copy it. And you'll notice down there, it says yanked. So that's just Y to copy, and then P to paste. Okay, let's say I didn't want to do that though. It was an accident. So we can do U to undo. So we can just remove stuff. And I didn't want to undo that. I want to change my mind. So I can do R to redo. I think it's R. Why didn't that work?
Sorry, Control R.
Oh, Control R. Yeah. Control R to redo.
I know it's different once, like when you're doing it in your head, you're just like like you don't even think about it. But then when you're saying it out loud, you're like, wait a minute, like why didn't that connect with what my hands were doing on the keyboard? It's always different once you have to explain it and go through it. Yeah.
And there's so many commands in Vim. I've got actually a Vim cheat sheet I can paste into chat.
Yeah, and you know, chat, like for all of you that are watching and the recordings right now, if you think that you can just watch James or I doing this stuff and then you're just like listening to it, you're like, oh, okay, I got it. Like I'm good. Wrong. Just
Practice.
Stop. Like just don't even get that thought away. There's a reason why we're showing you these things, and then you are expected to be able to go do it on your own. Like you have to go through reps, fingers on the keyboard. You have to get the muscle memory down. You have to go through it yourself. This is not theoretical stuff. This is not the CompTIA Security Plus objectives where we're just talking, and then you could walk away and explain to someone and feel like you might know something. That's not the case here. You do have to go and spin this up yourself and do it. The recordings are there for you to go through, and then for those of you that have purchased the course, there's lab content that provides additional reinforcement as well. So just wanted to highlight that. Don't beat yourselves up if you're like, I can't even remember like how to run a command. It's muscle memory of tens to hundreds to thousands of times doing it.
Yeah, a lot. So that's the basics of using this. So right now we're still using them as like a text editor, essentially. We're basically using Notepad on the command line right now. We can do a lot more stuff with them though. So as I mentioned earlier, you can do, if you escape out of insert mode, you can do write with W, colon W will write to the file, but not quit. So it says it's been written, so it's saved. And then I can do colon Q to quit. I can also do both, write quit, write and exit the entire, exit Vim if I want to. So we can also run command line commands from Vim. So if I go colon, I think it's !ls, for example. Look at that. We're back in the command line, and it did the ls command, and I can see the directory we're in and everything. And we can hit enter, and we're right back.
So handy.
Oh, yeah.
And, like if you're coming from using Microsoft Word and GUI-based text editors, like you wouldn't even think to be able to do that. Like it's not even a feature set. And that's very limiting, because when you're living inside the GUI, as we talked about, right? Like you have your ribbon of buttons at the top of things that you can do, but then that's your constraint. Like you can't do any more than that. And sure, there are ways to customize Microsoft Office a little bit to your needs, but with a lot of pain to be able to do that. And this is why another reinforcement of like you're inside of a text editor, and then you can run commands right then and there. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we can do all sorts of commands. Like I can go, if I'm in my colon here, I can go shell. And here I am back on the shell. I can do hello.txt. I can do, cd, whatever I want. And then all I have to do is hit Control D. I'm right back in Vim. I never left. We live here now.
One never leaves Vim. That's right. Once you start.
Yes, and then I can also do something cool, like if I wanted to, say I wanted to do ls, but I wanted the output of ls to come right into the document, I would do R ! And then I think it's space ls. Yeah, there we go. I got the output of ls right here in the document for me. If I didn't mean to do that, or if I just wanted to check it and go back, just undo it. And then put it back if you want to. So you can do some pretty cool stuff. I wonder if I can even... Yeah, I can put this file back into itself. You can cat this file and then cat it back into itself. So you can really get fancy. Not that that's super fancy, but you can start to see some potential, doing what you can do with Vim. And all these commands that I've gone over, if anyone looked at that cheat sheet, we haven't scratched the surface yet. I mean, yep. Vim is huge. This could be its own module almost. A couple other handy ones. If you hit GG, you go to the start of the document. You go to the first line. And if you do capital G, you go to the end. So a quick way to jump around.
And also, try and think that these, like, there's a reason why that these keys are certain positions that they are, like U for undo, right? Like that's what James was trying to say. R for redo. Like there's a reason, like I for insert. Vim, like remember, Vim and these text editors were built on a time when there was no GUI. It was just a terminal. It was just command line interaction. So it's more intuitive. So fun.
Absolutely. What's another good one? You can hit X to delete a character without going into insert mode. So we did find, replace, copy, paste, cut, commands. Let's see here. Another thing we can do is we can open up, let's see. And then we can have hello2.txt and we can vim hello.txt and then hello2.txt. And there we are. Here we are in hello.txt. But if I hit :bn, now we're in hello2.txt. And if I want to switch back, :bp. So I've got two things open now. So I can go into visual mode, go up, copy some stuff, Y, and then I can go :bn, and then I can hit P to paste it, work on one document, work on another one, switch back and forth. It does want you to save before you switch, but I gotta save it. There we go. So yeah, if you get that warning when you're trying to switch, you just got to do :W, and then that saves it. So yeah, we can work on multiple documents. We can write a script, which we'll get into here in a minute, and we can run the script. We can just go back into shell like I showed before and do whatever we want. And then whenever we're ready, just Control-D and go right back into Vim and edit that script if we didn't get the output we wanted or if we want to do something else to it. Super strong. All right. That was a lot. And I think I went over it pretty quickly. Does anybody have any questions or want to see something else again? You can always reference the cheat sheet. Don't try to go quickly. Like Anthony likes to say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You might get stuck a little bit. How did you get to the shell again? So you just do :shell. So with some experience, it starts to become pretty intuitive. You start to think about it. It's like, oh yeah, I want to paste, so I hit P. And then it's Control-D to go back to Vim from the shell.
I love it, Stephen. Yes, more Vim conversions.
Yep. If you get really good at Vim, they'll send you a card in the mail that you can show people to just show them that you know how to do Vim.
Yeah. Zeno, Good call. I like to run numbers as well too. If you do colon set number.
I was going to show that. I forgot about that. There we go. So say you run a script, like a Python script or something, you get error on line 508, set number. You can see, you can jump right to that line. That's a good one.
And you know what? One thing that we didn't say also, okay, so remember when we talked about the man pages, how to do like searching inside of man pages, and we hit the little / and you can search for things? You can do the same thing inside of Vim. And that goes back to that Unix philosophy of one thing that kind of relates to another. If you do one thing in one tool, you can do another thing in another tool, or they should complement one another. So the same searching we did in the man pages of / and then a pattern, we can also do / and search for patterns inside of files too, and go right to the line. So they complement one another.
Yep, just like that.
Super cool.
So like Anthony said, practice makes permanent.
Nice. So the challenge that we have for students is just start using Vim. It says we have 229 people online, CI. Do we really? I'd be surprised.
29.
29. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow. 30. Yeah. I mean, over the weekend, I think we had like 60.
Yeah. We were up there, especially on Saturday.
Yeah. More availability. This is like a bonus stream. We're going to go through some additional Linux content here with James, and he's kind of leading the charge. So pretty good turnout for like a midday Monday stream as well, too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah.
900 bots. The dead internet theory.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to scripting, or does anybody have any other Vim questions? Otherwise, we're going to stay in Vim, but we're going to move on to some scripting. I think we're in Vim for the rest of it mostly.
Nice, Saka. Hello. Welcome to the chat. First time chatter.
Welcome.
Yes, yeah, Vim does. Okay, everything that James just did right now inside of Vim, you cannot do in Nano. And we're just scratching the surface. Yeah, remember, Nano is like if you only ever have to hop inside of Linux like once in a while, change a config file, update a command, fine. Like just use Nano. Like you don't necessarily need to invest in a time in Vim. However, we are trying to get you to invest some time inside of Vim because look how much time you've spent inside of Linux so far. And you're going to spend more time inside of Linux as you're a SOC analyst, and especially like if you're an engineer, you're going to spend a lot more time inside of Linux for all the reasons that we talked about on the initial stream, I think on Saturday. So we're also going to do the next couple labs, James, right? Inside of Vim. We're dropping Nano. From now on, we are dropping Nano.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're dropping Nano. Yeah, the scripting and then the security tool, we're going to do all inside of Vim.
Yep.
I could change the notepad over to Vim, except for now that I think about it, it might be a little too small to read being in a terminal. So we'll leave that here with the bigger font.
Yeah, it's okay. Cool.
All right. Let's get on with it. Here we got scripting and variables.
Update stream as well too.
All right, so bash scripting is the same as we're doing it already. We're just not scripting it. So these are bash commands. Right. So then if I do hello.sh, sh is the extension for shell script. And I do insert and I do my shebang line. This is called a shebang line. It helps the system to use the correct context for the script. You know, so we're telling it this is bash. And then we can just do echo hello world. You can write it. We're not going to leave vim. We're just going to go back into shell. We can chmod. We want to add x to hello.sh. Now if we ls again, we can see here that it turned green to indicate that we can execute this now because we gave it the executable permission. So then we just type period / shello hello.sh, and it just echoes hello world. Same thing as up here. We're just scripting it. So then I can back into vim. All right, so we can also we can make it a little bit more advanced than hello world. So we can say echo hello. What's your name? And then we can have it read. So now this name it's going to read from the command line. It's going to accept an input, and the name is going to be the literal string name here is going to be called a variable. So whatever we input, if I say Bill or whatever I input, is going to be held by this variable name that we can reference later. So then we can just say echo hello, and we do the $name to indicate that we're referencing the variable. Now let's see what that looks like. Hello, what's your name? So it's waiting for me to put something in, and I'll say I'm James. And it's going to repeat that. It's going to say, hello, James. It's just going to repeat what it's just going to echo back the variable we just gave it. And then I also gave it this extra variable that we can look at. So we have environment variables. If I just go, did we already talk about these?
We didn't know, so I was going to actually cut in there shortly, but this is the first time students are seeing variables. First time. So we should give a little bit of time to just talk about what variables are, why they're important. And yeah, James, if you want to go ahead. Otherwise, sure. I'm always happy to rant about variables, as you know. So
okay, yeah, so variables are how we reference data that can change. So we can set data to a variable. That's why it's called obviously a variable. It can vary. But we want to set things to variables so that we can reference them more easily, so that we're not typing out the same thing. You know, say I wanted to reference my name 100 times in a script, and I want to type it out every time. What if I want to change it? I have to change it 100 times? No, I just set it to a variable, and then I know that I want to reference that value, and I don't care what the value specifically is because I can change it as needed. So Linux has something called environment variables. So I can do print environment, env, and it's got a lot of them. So all of these here, anytime you see something equals, this is a variable. So our shell right now is our bash shell. So shell equals bin bash. There's some boilerplate stuff here. We don't really need to worry about it too much, but here's that user variable that I referenced in the script when I said, $user. I'm referencing this environment variable that the system already has access to. I didn't need to set it because it's already there by default. It's just part of the config. We can also set variables here. I can say I equals hello, and then I can say echo hi. So now I've got this variable. I can reference it whenever I needed within this shell. But if I opened up a new shell, let's see, this button, nope. Oh yeah, it is this button, but it's
yeah. That's why I just started opening up terminals. We should get them to start using an advanced terminal a little bit later too.
Yeah, I've got first thing I installed was Terminator.
Yeah, we should maybe I might even do like a bonus side stream tomorrow or something on that. I might even just like myself kind of hanging around. I feel like at this point they should have a better terminal than the simple GNOME terminal.
Yeah. But anyway, so here we are. This is our shell where we have the hi variable, and this is our new shell. So if I echo hi over here, it says, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard that before in my life. Because this is not persistent variable. This only lives within the shell session. You can set persistent variables if you know that you always want to be able to have your command line tell you hi, for example, and that lives in our user config setting. It's called, I always say it in my head as bashrc, but it's bashrc. So we can vim, and that lives in the home directory. It's a hidden file. That's denoted by this period here. These are hidden. We talked about that, I think. So we can vim bashrc, and this is our config, our this is where our user configuration stuff lives. And we can just go down here to the bottom, insert, because we're using vim, and I can just say hi equals hello, write it out, and now I can, well, I can still echo hi, but I can also do oh no, I have to reload it, don't I? I have to export, or no, I have to source.
Yeah.
I don't reconfigure this very often.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so on that note, so the reason why James is saying that is because typically once people are messing around, you can open up a new terminal session as well, like a brand new one. But the reason why James is saying that is typically when people are messing around and configuring their bash configuration file, that's not something that you're going in and changing often. So just keep that in mind. So like it's a once in a while thing. Maybe you change it every now and then. There's a new setting that you like. Sure.
Yeah. So now I opened up a brand new terminal. If I echo hi, it tells me hello. That variable persisted across because I added it into my bashrc. That's a little bit about variables. Anything you want to add to that, Anthony?
I think it might be good to just show like let's look at the home directory, right? Like if we do a PWD and if you run that command, it's showing home Ubuntu, right? Now, the reason why it even knows that, let's just pause for a moment. And I really want students to start thinking about these kind of things, that it's not just magic. Like if we're running PWD, there's a reason why PWD returns the command, or sorry, the output of home Ubuntu. Remember that whole like standard out and stuff yesterday? So if we were to go echo $home in caps, that is the variable. That is the variable that the system is referring to when you're running PWD. It's actually trying, sorry, I made a mistake. I meant CD tilde, not PWD. Yeah, so do CD tilde.
Oh yeah. That's what the tilde is. I see what
Yeah. I was looking in my head. I thought, so yeah, if we do CD tilde, so maybe change the directory entirely. And let me restart. Kind of went off on a weird tangent there.
All right. Do I not have a desktop? I do. What? Oh, desktop. But yeah, why didn't that tab?
I don't know why the tab didn't autocomplete. That was kind of weird. But okay, so James is right now in the home. So let's do a PWD here first. I'll kind of walk through that again because I had my mind all over different spots. So PWD, this is print working directory. It's showing us our current path of our command prompt on disk on the file system of home Ubuntu desktop, right? So if we wanted to just quickly get back to our home directory, there's a couple things here we can look at. So if we did cat etc password and then grep for Ubuntu, just so we can demonstrate some more of that grepping yesterday. So if you take a look, remember when we added Bilbo and Gandalf to the fellowship yesterday, we had home Ubuntu here. That's the home directory as configured for this Ubuntu user. This value is then it's propagated further for like a forever call. If anyone ever needs to get the home directory of the Ubuntu user, or if we ever need to get there, it's going to refer to this value. So this value gets stored inside of the home variable. So now we can do that echo home again. Cool. You see how it's the same thing? That is our home directory. It's now stored in that variable for us to work with as our current user at this given time. Now, if we were to do cd tilde, which is a shortcut, and then run pwd after this, you can see that we're now in our home directory, whereas we were previously inside of our desktop folder. And what's happening is cd tilde is actually saying, hey, give me the value of what's inside of the home variable, which is home Ubuntu. And that's how we can do these shortcuts and shorthand references of defined static values that we should always be referring to without the room for error. And that's really the power and importance of variables, is instead of us always typing things out manually, which is prone to error, humans make mistakes. I just went on a rant for a second earlier talking about PWD when I was trying to talk about cd tilde. People make mistakes, especially when you're kind of like you're on the fly, you're doing different things. Variables prevent that from happening. And as James mentioned, variables are meant to store variable data, like things that can change, things that are dynamic. And we rely on pre-configuring these variables to store and contain information that we know that we'll need and that we know we'll always need at given times under given conditions. So that's incredibly important. So when you're running commands on the Linux command line, don't just like fire away at them blindly now. Now we've shown you a little bit more of what's under the hood. So think a little bit more when we're running shortcuts, when we are calling binaries. If we were to run cd or ls, how does the system know even where that lives? And that's another variable. Maybe show them the path.
Yep.
This path variable stores all the information, and there's a colon as like a delineator in terms of which paths are valid paths. That is where the command line, the bash shell, will be looking for in those individual folders to determine if I'm trying to run cd, does it exist in one of those folders?
What is it?
Do which ls?
Oh.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, that's what I was trying to show.
Yeah. So you can see that user bin ls. So under the user binaries over here for ls, it's in the path. It knows to search there. Otherwise, we would have to do a full absolute path reference.
Right.
Yeah.
Every time. Imagine you had to type this every time you wanted to say ls.
Every time.
Oof. We're about efficiency.
Yeah. So Electro Kid, thanks for the follow. Also, hello, first time chatter. Same the dev who tries. Thanks for being here too. We are the instructors who try ourselves. So we're also trying to provide this content, and we're glad to hear that you find it valuable. Thank you. Yeah. Lots of talk about variables. Again, it's important to, instead of us just like, here's a command, and then you're taking notes off these cheat sheets and you're like, oh, I want to look at cheat sheets. If all you're doing is following commands left and right and looking at cheat sheets all the time, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're not actually spending the time to invest to really understand how this stuff works. And the moment those cheat sheets are not available, or the moment you're in a new scenario that you haven't seen before where there are no cheat sheets or no documentation, you're going to buckle. And this is why we take our time with this, to really try to get you to understand what's under the hood so that you're self-sufficient and you look at documentation as needed, but you don't need to rely on cheat sheets and documentation, because you'll have a general situational understanding of how these things functionally work under the hood. All the way from kernel to user space, from binary to ASCII that we're typing in right now, All that stuff matters. Same with all the data stream redirection yesterday. So you can understand why this is functioning the way that it is. When James ran cat etsy password grabbing for Ubuntu, that was data stream redirection in action. That's why that worked. I think that's a good enough rant for a little bit there, James.
Okay, sure enough. I was just trying to fix this mouse pad broke for a second there.
Yeah, sure. I can always. So question over here from Karina, does Windows have a counterpart for the Linux path variable? Yes, it does. Windows has its own path as well.
You can add, it lives in some submenus.
Yep. So you're saying curious because CMD and PowerShell seem to know where Notepad exactly. So Karina, if you're inside of your Windows box right now, and we're going to get back to Windows in the next module, go ahead and if you open up the little start menu, go and search for path, and you're going to find it under environmental variables. Same thing. So this is a typical operating system concept of variables and environmental variables, and we're going to talk about local variables as well too. James is going to get into that very shortly with the advanced scripting.
Yes.
Kim,
my box is freaking out for some reason. What the heck?
Yeah, I saw that. Same. I understand that I could store my sudo password as a variable now. Yes, please. Kim, don't do that. But okay, but in all honesty, you are going to be needing to store credentials somewhere at some point. This is called secrets management, which we're going to get into a concept much later on, because you do need to pass credentials at some point. Whether they're encrypted or not, it will happen. So, future thing to talk about. Cool. Yeah, let's keep going.
All right, and this whole time still in Vim. All right, so that's our little script that tells you your name. We can cut that. Make sure I'm not missing anything. So we can do things like, forgot to go into insert. Shell. Go. Working directory. Can I go date? Is this date? No, date's in parentheses, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's just a normal binary to call. Yeah. I mean, you could just even run that script just right now to kind of show what that does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So now it's printing the working directory and printing the date. And it's freezing.
Something's going on with your box over there.
Yeah, it just got really slow.
Oh, wait. Do you have the cron job still going?
No, I think I removed that.
Double check. We have a backup running every minute. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe. Let's see.
Well, it's
angry.
I'm gonna have to restart the shell, I think.
I wonder if you do have a check your Crontab tacky and see what's going on.
Yeah, no, I
okay.
cleared it.
Okay. Then I don't know. Maybe save that document. It says untitled. Maybe like the buffer memory is kind of going insane.
That's true. We'll save this.
Oh, you put it inside of the root directory. Throw that in like your desktop or something. Yeah. I wonder if that's doing it, because that list is getting longer and longer and it's getting angry.
It's I'm really bad about always saving notes as note.txt, and it makes it so that I can never tell which notes a given file is.
Yeah.
But okay, there we go. Are we better off now? Feeling better? Still frozen? Okay. Just kill you.
Yeah, just kill all that. Start a new terminal.
Killtech 9.
Yeah.
Where were we?
I noticed like your tab, was your tab autocomplete not working again?
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't work that time. It might have been because I had multiple hello documents. Oh, this is because shell is capitalized. That's why that one didn't fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing about Linux. If you type cd desktop, it says I've never met that man before in my life. But then you do cd desktop, it's like, oh yeah, okay. There we go. Okay. Yep. All right, so let's show. So I can do something like echo, we'll just say insert mode. Hello? There we go. So we'll say, don't echo it. Current time equals date, and then we can format it. Plus percent, percent hour. That's, what is it, colon? Minutes.
Yeah, James is going to kind of go and walk through over local versus global types of variables and such, and how you're going to see this. This isn't going to work as you might think that it will. Oh, can we get rid of that space between a $sign too? After the current time equals.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've set a variable here, which is this date format. And then, so if I run this, syntax,
%H, %M, %S, double check that. That's try running that here. Yeah, try running the actual command on the CLI and make sure that's functioning properly.
Yeah.
And then just kind of see if maybe we have like a typo inside the script over there.
That's probably what it is. I usually just assume I made a typo somewhere. The shell is frozen again. Maybe I should restart the box?
Might have to double check. I think that notepad didn't save either. Make sure that note file saved as well. In the meantime, I'm going to fire up my Linux box too, just in case.
No, it didn't save, but I told it to. Thought I did. Ubuntu desktop. Notes.txt. Yes. Save. Now it's saved. Let's get rid of it. Use extra tabs. It did save, but still doesn't like me. All right. Maybe it doesn't like that I keep dropping into a shell from Vim for some reason.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not like nesting it. I'm going back to the same thing.
Try to keep. Oh, yeah. Because wait, have you been hitting exit each time to go back inside the script?
No, I've just been hitting Control D to go back into Vim.
I mean, yeah, that should be fine too.
Yeah, it's not like nesting anything. It's bouncing
maybe
back and forth.
Maybe just keep 2 terminals open just for demonstration sakes, like one with the shell ready to fire the script, and then just keep the other window with write. Yeah, to save it.
But not this shell though, because this one's dead again. All right. There we go. We got to fire that script. And there we go. We still...
Yeah, so I was going to say, just try to fire that on the command line first and make sure that it actually works the way that it's supposed to. It's going to get mad because of that. It might have been a space. Yeah, watch, hit enter. Yeah, so get rid of that space between the plus and the percent. No, sorry, like date.
Oh, yeah, leave that space.
Yep.
There we go. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So double check the script. You might have had... Cool. You guys get to watch some little live debugging on the fly. Yes,
I do have a space. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is going to happen. When you're going through your own scripts or writing your own code, it's so easy just to add have a little space in this side, especially like if you're live instructing like this and you're trying to think about how to explain things at the same time while doing it and talking. It's easy to have a little slip up. We all do it. I do.
Yeah.
Everyone does it.
All right, so we see that we set the current time. All right. And we can see that it printed out the date in this format, current time format. But if I go over here and I do go...
Shouldn't even be able to like tab autocomplete it either, I bet.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, see?
No. It says, I don't know what you mean.
Doesn't exist. So why chat, for those of you following along, why do you think that doesn't work? Like it works over here. Why doesn't it work over there? Let's get you to think a little bit. Maybe open up the script as well too, so you can show them. It's right here. It's declared, right? So wild is onto something. Yeah. Yes, local variables. And it's edu. It's not even that it's declared in one shell. It's more than that. It's actually because it's declared inside the script and only inside the script.
Yep.
And once James runs that script, and this is what Wild is talking about, it's a local variable, it's gone. It only exists and is created for the usage of the script and then tossed away.
So we were talking yesterday about managing the data streams, right? This script has its own, whatever you put in there, it's got its own set of data streams. And then ultimately that's going to output an output data stream to wherever you tell it to output. And then on top of that, you can redirect it. So like this has the data streams, right? So I could echo, I don't know. Let's see. I can echo hello into let's just echo hello. So this is going to cause it to output something. Well, How should I show that to illustrate that this has its own streams and then they all get routed into an output if I tell them to?
Well, I think just like running it kind of demonstrates it.
Yeah, that does. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as the shell is interpreting this, imagine that this is a bash shell doing this line by line by line, and then that shell session disappears. I mean, I guess if you really wanted, you could put it to sleep for a little bit and then open up like a PS process and kind of grep for it. Put it to sleep.
Like 5-10 seconds.
It depends how fast you can put it more. Yeah. Put it like 100, and then you can kill the process after.
Good night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna okay. So I got to drop over to this other shell because that's gonna cause that to hang.
Yep.
Okay. All right, there we go. We have hello.sh is running.
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually have that session, right? 444, 444. Yeah, 3 of them. 989 is this is the PID of the bash shell running that hello.sh script. Like it's doing its own thing right now. Now, if you were to kill it, you'd kill the whole process outright. Yep. And that's because James hasn't actually sent the process into the background as like a foreground kind of process. But you can see that as it's running right now as its own process. It has its own variables, its own data, doing its own thing. And we can interact with it at this point in time. And we could make a global variable. We could export it.
Make sure it's dead. Okay, it's dead now. And then if we go back over here, it should. Yep, terminated.
Yeah, see?
So we can export it like Anthony said. Let's try that. We use the export built-in command. Time equals date. I need the space. This always slows me down. This stupid date format. Do I need quotes around that?
The same way you had it inside the script, but I toss that inside your bashrc actually. At the end of it, you can do an echo. You can echo all of it, and then append it to your bashrc.
How do you mean? You mean like the hello shell script?
Yes, I was gonna look at the chat at the same time. Yeah. No. Sorry. That current time variable, like you could run that whole export command, like add that whole command inside your bashrc as one way to do it. I was gonna say. Yeah.
Oh no! Don't overwrite it though. Let's append it.
Yeah.
Details.
Yeah, I got pinged over there. So yeah, CI. So Chris, if you're trying to find the older streams here, I'll drop the link for you of YouTube. We're recording all this, so you can watch all the old stuff. One second here.
Do I want to use echo instead of export?
That should be the full playlist. Nasty link, but yeah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the sub. And the follow.
There we go. So now I can do echo. And I can tab autocomplete it now. And it's going to return it. And then let's see if we can do that over here. Oh, I need to reload the thing. What's that? Oh. There we go. Now we can tab autocomplete current time, and it'll print on this shell because now it's a global variable. And it's a persistent global variable too.
Yeah, so CI, the reason why we've done this, and we'll move on after this, maybe take a little bit of a break too, quick little, yeah.
Sure.
The reason why we've done this is when James was first running the script with vimhello.sh, and when you're running the script, it is declaring a local variable that can handle data, can do different things, it can handle a bunch of commands. But then once the script is finished running, you can't access that variable anymore. And that's why it's called a local variable. It's local to that script. And what we were trying to demonstrate is you can actually create variables that are globally accessible beyond the script in other shell sessions as well. And what you need to do is actually update one of a couple different ways. You have to update either like your bashrc, that's the one we were just mentioning before, that's your bashrc, like that's your config file at the bash shell that we're currently on. So James, if you do an echo $ shell in caps, you can see that we're running the bin bash shell, another variable that's letting us know what shell we're actually in. So the bashrc file contains a whole whack of information about what our current bash shell session should be referring to. So James has added that variable to the global scope, is what it's called. And now James can go in other terminals and other things and refer to current time whenever he needs. Pretty cool. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why we did this. I mean, kind of the same, Karina, global versus persistent. Yeah. A global variable means that it is a persistent variable at that point for us in our bashrc session.
Yeah, like I can just close this and then go back and open it back up. One day. And I can do echo current time. Still there.
Yep. And keep in mind, this is a global variable. Sorry, this is a global variable for us. This is our bash configuration. If another user logs in, yes.
Now let's do.
Yeah, you can edit. What's it called? Etsy environment, right?
Yeah, environment.
Yeah.
And then you can make that for everybody. But like if I drop into root right now and I echo, I can't tab autocomplete it.
See?
And it doesn't know what I mean. Even though I'm still in the home Ubuntu directory, I'm where that bashrc file lives, but it's not referencing it because now I'm a different user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thontix, thanks for the follow. So was that clear to everyone? Sort of like, obviously, I think you need to do it yourselves, but we're trying to demonstrate variables contain variable data that we can call and use as needed for our use cases under certain conditions, and that I should say variables have a scope. Local scope means like the current session. Remember when James first declared a variable in the command line here? That's local to this session right now. And then inside the script is another local scope. Like they're different local scopes that they don't see each other. They're doing different things. And then globally, James was able to add it to his bashrc file that he could access anywhere at that point. And then if we wanted to go even higher in scope, we can get to environmental scope, which means that any of the users could access it, just like echo shell, echo pwd, etc.
You can also do things with variables, like I can set this modified variable here to current time plus another string. We can echo There we go. So we still have our variable, but we can make another variable that references this variable too. So you can kind of chain them together to do what you need to do.
Yeah, super cool. Ton you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, I think that's a good spot for a little break as well. Cover a good amount of ground. What else do we have after this?
We have got, if we're done with scripting now, we've just got to build the security tool, I think.
Oh yeah, we have to put it all together now.
Yep, we're going to put everything together.
Did you cover the read, actually? I think we went too fast, didn't we?
I briefly covered the read.
Okay.
Read input.
Oh, good, because I might have been looking at chat then. Cool. So yes, now we need to go, and we have one more lab to go, and that is building a security backup tool. It's 12:22. Let's take a break. Let's come back in like 10ish. Go get your coffees, quick snack, eat some chocolate. Chocolate's really good for the brain when you're doing this stuff. You need glucose. Glucose is good. So we'll be back. Set up our cam. Cool. Then we're back. A little bit more to go. Welcome back, everyone. Alrighty.
All right. So now we're going to put it all together. Hope everyone got a good stretch, got your coffee.
Let's do this. Yeah. A lot of coffee today, feels like.
Had a lot of coffee this weekend. All right, so we've got our hello.sh, hello.txt. Let's start making a backup tool.
Yeah, so we're in the last lab right now, right? It's creating a security backup tool, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look. Double check the name. Building a security backup tool. All right, all right. Cool.
Coffee is equal to life. You are true, the dev who tries.
That's right. It's true. Yeah. We do turn coffee into code.
I feel like it's because, you know, once you have enough coffee, your body kind of shakes on its own, and then you can just channel that into your fingers.
Just keeps shaking out and vimming away.
It's not a problem as long as I keep typing.
Yeah.
All right,
Nice.
so we're going to make a tool now to back up our home directory, and we're going to save it to a location. So we're going to, you know, it's also good practice. We got to give something to the user so we can echo some messages. Echo just a little bit of feedback to let us know, you know, that it's running and what's happening. Say like performing a backup. And we can go. It seems like it's waiting. We could put sleep commands in here like we saw earlier. So sleep 1 if we want to, just have it wait for a second. And we can say
random trivia note. Did you know that when you run the Microsoft Troubleshooter to troubleshoot your programs, all what it does is just execute sleep? It just
really?
I am so trolling Microsoft right there, by the way. It's not actually what happens. But I feel like that's all that actually does happen. It just runs sleep for like 5 minutes and oh, we found nothing wrong. But that's just me trolling Microsoft a little bit.
So we can just set a backup time variable just like we did before.
So CI, quick question. Can current students still pay something toward the upcoming advanced courses? Yes, so each course will come out and it will be released. So SOC 100-1 we're going through is, they're all pay what you can. They're all pay what you can, minimum 19, suggested 29, except for the certification. That one will be minimum 59, suggested 89. But each one you can purchase.
All right, so we're going to make a gzip with tar for our backup. So we got this backup time variable now set to this date and the format. And then we're doing what I showed earlier, where we're referencing that variable in this variable. So this is going to be our output file name. So we're going to say it's a backup underscore the time.tgz is going to be our backup. That way it'll change, right? If we run a backup today and then we run a backup tomorrow, that backup will have a different file name. So We can kind of tell them apart a little bit. And then we're going to run our command.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so we're going to use tar. There's a bunch of different compressions that we can do for the file. Tar is correct me if I'm wrong, I think tar is a gzip format. It's a tar gzip, like a special, it's a different type of gzip.
Well, tar. So yeah, tar is more of like an archiving tool, which is a little different between compression. Archiving is meant just to sort of like, I guess, back things up, if you will, at a high level. Now, compression is the gzip portion. And I think that's why you have tgz over there.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to use the tar command here. We want these flags to go with it. We'll look at those in a second too. And then we can do home / compressed to specify our output directory, and then home to specify our input directory. And that's just referencing that global variable. And then we can just pipe out to just banish errors into the shadow realm. And then once that's done, we can echo. Backup. Let's say backup complete. We'll output that file name. All right, so now we've got an executable. What do they call it? Security backup. All right, so now we can run security backup.sh. There's our sleep one.
Movie magic.
Now it's actually doing something. It's backing up the home directory. And once that command finishes, we'll see that complete message and we can check.
Let's make sure that terminal didn't freeze up again.
Yeah.
Your terminal is angry today.
That's good. It's fine. It's just taking a while.
Yeah.
Normally I wouldn't expect it to take this long. We don't have anything except for a couple text files and, boilerplate stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, correct, CI. The +X is for the execution permission setting. The X bit has been set. Remember old file mode bits? That's taking a lot longer than I expected to.
Yeah, let's maybe
double check that script.
Maybe we shouldn't right away pipe the errors to dev null in case there was an issue. Let's see, tar ZCF home compressed home should be right.
Yeah, maybe just get rid of that to dev null just so we can see.
I think these need to be in quotes in case there are spaces somewhere it could throw it off.
Yes, good call. Always throw things in quotes. Karina, maybe not today class scope, but I think it's nice for a script to let the user know specifically. Yes, it is. Yeah, it would be good to always to let the user know. Did you get rid of the to dev null? I didn't see.
No, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, maybe let's trim that off just so we can see what's actually going on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just taking a while, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something specific there that's definitely taking a while. What is inside of home Ubuntu? Maybe open up another terminal. Just take it. Oh, wait. Yeah. What is it? It shouldn't take that long. Isn't it just a bunch of directories and files?
I mean, we're in home Ubuntu right now.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh. Okay.
You do have a bunch of other backups that you ran, I guess, from before, right? With the cron job?
created no, this is just, it created the file.
Oh,
I think, like before it was automatically creating this, but not finished when I canceled it. So that is one thing that I wanted to illustrate with this script. If we cron job this script and say we want to run a backup every day, right now it's going to back up our backups. And that file's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's see, backup complete. Oh yeah, it just took a while.
Yeah, cool.
Oop, let's just ls that. And so now we've got 3 different backups.
Yeah. And this actually ties right into the challenge for this module is we know that we've purposely left this script to be able to be abused a little bit. Like it doesn't work entirely with good design. Like James mentioned, we're backing up the backup and then backing up the backup, the backup. Like it's like a loop. We have intentionally left this script alone. That's part of the Linux challenge afterwards is there's some good cleanup that can be done here. Change the directory, we can optimize this as well.
It's a good shout out because I actually was going to go into fixing that next. I was gonna show them how to do like getopts to do flag switching in there and do some optional stuff in their thing, and then also I was gonna showcase that, but I'll leave that a secret then if that's the case.
Yeah, I would say maybe give them a little reward for hanging around the stream. And Yarmolenko, thanks for the follow. Maybe give them a little reward, hanging around and catching this stream. Give them a pointer in the right direction or some advice on maybe some ways that we can optimize that.
Okay. There's a couple different ways you can do it. I'll give you some advice. The least challenging would be just to don't save your backup in the directory you're backing up. Doesn't really pose much of a challenge though, so I don't recommend going down that road. We're here to develop the skills. So try to find a way to selectively back up your files. And that's a hint. And one other thing I will give you, well, that might be too much of a hint. What do you think?
Well, I think I'll answer that question quick from Chris in the chat, because I guess he was kind of looking at it saying, what does socket ignored mean? And that is a really, really good question, because there's a good reason for that. And there's a reason why we suppressed those errors on the toDev null to kind of show you that. So when James removed the toDev null, you saw the errors. You saw the standard error. Now, standard error is not necessarily, these aren't necessarily errors per se that would prevent us from running the script. As you saw, it completed it, it created the backup. But we still got socket error ignored. Or sorry, socket ignored as an error. Now, the tar command that we're running over here, it's performing an archive and a compression of the same directory. Now, at a high level, in order for certain processes to speak with other processes and other network connections, etc., there's something that gets created, it's called a socket. We're going to explore more of that in the networking module, because that's where it actually starts to get more important. But a socket is created to let two processes speak to one another. Tar, so when we ran the archive and compression, there's no need to back up the socket. The socket is a temporary piece of data running in the background to connect those processes together. So the tar utility with the gzip compression that we used is smart enough. It was designed and written well and said, well, we don't need that temporary socket connection to be backed up because it's only part of this process happening right now. That's why you're seeing those things. Now, we could redirect that to like an error.log, and that's why that information's out there. Because remember, as we talked about the standard streams yesterday, if you caught that, is when we have those 3 streams, standard in, out, and error open and running, that data has to go somewhere. Like those streams of data have to go somewhere and let you know what's happening. In this case, it's letting us know that those temporary socket connections, letting the tar utility performance backup run, is not necessary. So it's going to ignore those. But maybe we need that information for somewhere else if we want to get a true picture of what's happening. I want to expand on that because that really reinforces more about the understanding of those streams in action. I think that's important, and that's a good takeaway. Does that make more sense, Chris, when you hear it like that? I'm under the I'm sort of assuming that you were tracking with the standard streams yesterday, and if you weren't, probably not. Then that might not make as much sense as I was intending. Let me know in chat. Okay, cool. Good.
Cool. So yeah, that's why we just redirect those errors. And then also, should I show them like while loops or if thens or if else's?
Thanks, Chris. Good to have you here. I think James, yeah, I think go ahead, like give him a little bit of a snippet of what could be done here to improve some things. That's fine.
All right, I won't give too much away. So we can do, let's do a flag switch. Like we saw, like when we do ls tac la, let's include one of those in our script so we don't have to rewrite everything, redo everything. So we want to do a variable to start with. So let's set ignore images equals. We want to set it to false so that it doesn't always fire. And then we're going to use getopts. So we do a while loop. Getopts, that's like get options. It's like a built-in thing. And we'll say it's p. Opt. And then we close that off and we want to do include a case in our opt variable. And there, and then we do it in a parentheses. So we'll assign it here. And then we'll set images to true. And then we have to double end the line there. And then we can go star to end our case switches. And then we also have to spell case backwards. So ESAC to end the case switch. So what we're doing here is we're assigning a variable, ignore images, and we're just saying it's false. And then if someone supplies this tac p flag, it's going to read that and it's going to set ignore images to true. And then we're going to go down there and we're going to say, okay, if that's true, we're going to do something else, something that's not our default behavior. And we're going to say, oops, done, to finish that little section off. All right, so now we need to do everything in an if else statement here. So if ignore images is true, then we do terminate that. Then we're going to do something else. We're going to say echo ignoring PNG files. And then we can just do our tar command. And one thing this is important. You can exclude files with tar, but you have to pass the exclude option in the first thing. It has to be the first thing it reads, or otherwise it'll ignore it. Otherwise you might spend a ton of time looking around and not find it. So we're going to exclude star.pngs. Anything that ends in PNG, a file extension, we're just going to ignore. And we're going to do our ccf. Same thing as before, but I don't like to type. So let's go into visual mode. Let's not go into visual mode yet. Let's go over here. Now let's go into visual mode. Just hit Y to copy that. Did that not work?
Yeah, I think you hit Y, yeah.
Normally it says yanked. All right, let's see if that worked. paste. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So it's the same command. The only thing we added is this exclude. Okay.
Yeah, I think you've got that backing up. I think you've got some extra cruft on it at the end, right? The 2dev null.
Oh yeah. Okay. Why is this? Why is it bouncing around? Is it skipping this line?
Yeah. So this is getting a little advanced for the students at this point. You have not seen a while loop before, and you have not seen an if statement before, but we can walk through that a little bit. This is super advanced for where you're at right now. Don't feel like you're looking at this and be like, oh my God, like I don't understand. Like I should understand. Like that's, I don't know what I'm doing. Like don't have that level of anxiety kick in. You have never seen this before. So we can walk you through this. These are just some advanced concepts that we can recommend maybe.
Yep. I just wanted to illustrate it. You can go back and watch it. And then once I got it all, typed out, we're going to go back through and see and show you what else is here. So let's see here. We just have to terminate that if else with phi. It's like the end terminate the if statement, if condition. Okay. So let's look at what we added here.
Is there a way to step through bash scripts with a debugger? I mean, you could, yeah. If you really wanted to, you could throw like little echo statements. That's usually quite helpful if you want. You could do bash tac x as well too, and that'll actually let you trace through the script. So I'll put that inside of. Again, it's quite advanced. Don't feel like everyone like you need to kind of go through that, but you could do a bash tac x when you run the script, and you can actually kind of go like line by line. And there are also dedicated tools for this as well too. You can use, I think you can use trap as another command, and I think there are other command line debuggers that could also be helpful. But that's enough to kind of get you started, so you know. Okay. Yeah, cool. Let's take a look and see what you got. It might be actually handy, just like expand the terminal all the way, because you've got some like line cutoff and everything. I think it might be a little. Oh no,
doesn't work in Vim.
I mean, like yeah, there you go. The terminal itself. Yeah.
There you go. Bye. Cool.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's walk through this a little bit slowly. Make sure that everyone, it's a lot like English. Truthfully, we can go through it together slowly and kind of see what's happening.
Yeah. All right. Oh, somehow I got switched over to Discord to type. Okay, that's weird. All right. So we have our base script that we ran for backups. That's the same. So if we want to include a switch flag, we have to set it to a variable that we can initialize as false. So we don't want it to automatically do this. So we just say it's false. And then if somebody runs the script and passes in tac p as an option, we're going to check for that. And if it is an option, we're going to set ignore images to true. That's all this is doing. Is just letting us say, run the script, and then we can optionally add an argument there if we want to. And then we can just do a simple if statement. So we're saying if our ignore images variable is true, so it's going to check this value. If it's false, it's going to just move on. If it's true, then we're going to execute some different code. And then we're going to say, that means you wanted to ignore the image files. So we're going to run this tar command and ignore the image files. That's with this exclude option here. So anything that ends in .png won't be backed up. So then we're going to echo, our message, and then we're going to say, otherwise, if ignore images was set to false, we're just going to do our normal script that we already had. I need to initialize this thing before, and it was it DD to cut? No, DD is to delete. Yeah, DD is cut, yeah. And then we can just come here, hit paste, hit paste. I don't think the second else statement will run. I think this if statement should only run the one.
Oh yeah, you have if then echo. Yeah, I just want to scroll down. I just want to make sure that the second tar. Okay, yeah, it's not outside of the if statement. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, at a high level, as you're looking at this stuff, so a while loop means do something until conditions are met to not do it anymore. The if statement says if a condition is met, then do something. And if the condition is not met, then do something else. That's it. That's all that's happening here. And that's kind of what James has constructed, that if you as a user run this script and you provided the option to ignore images, like ignore PNG files, then when you run this tar command, this backup utility, then it will exclude images. Otherwise, if you specify otherwise, it'll just do the normal backup like we saw previously to the script being executed. So pretty cool. Like this is really the power of scripting, is you can make these complex feature-rich utilities for users. You can make them granular, you can make them customizable, and it just takes a little bit of elbow grease, working through the code, kind of highlighting your thoughts and constructing them into commands, and then you're good to go.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, let's fire it off.
Yeah, let's fire away.
Security backup, and we'll pass this, and we'll see if our function activates.
Nice.
There we go.
There you go. And remember, it's going to take like 30 seconds, I think, or so.
Yeah, it takes a little while.
Yeah.
Experience in Java, nice.
Yeah, Stephen. So after we get through like the security triage content and such, then we're actually going to have Python coming after to actually have you develop a basic level of Python. Prin's asking when you both anticipate third, fifth recording be uploaded. Probably one after another, starting tonight or tomorrow. They take a long time to upload, and then YouTube has to process it. They're like 32 gigabyte files. So my goal is always within the week.
All right, so that's a little extra to get a little taste into whiles, options, and if statements. Don't stress about it too much. All you need to exclude images is this line right here. You don't have to. I mean, this makes your script more robust and more optional, but you don't have to jump straight into that.
Yeah, this is advanced, but it's good for you to see it. Like, you need that gradual exposure. Remember when we said in the beginning of this whole course about learning requires immersion? We need to gradually expose you to more and more advanced concepts as we go through, and then you have all the time you need to kind of go through it and work on the on-demand side on your own. Love it. This is when it starts to get fun. This is when you start feeling like the power of the computer or the command line and scripting.
So yeah, once you get your script done, there's nothing stopping you from automating it with a cron job. Pick a time, how often you want it to back up, fire away. Then you don't have to touch it. I mean, as long as it's working, get your script working first.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So then, yeah, the last little bit of all of this, and then we can wrap it up over here. Yeah, cool. It's 1 o'clock. We'll wrap it up here. I'm going to go ahead and actually share my screen here in a moment, James.
Yeah.
Kind of where we're last leaving things off. Cool. All right, my screen is up. Gonna throw yours off for now. Sweet. Okay, so a couple things to wrap up for the day over here. And let's look at the stream calendar as well. So we just wrapped up this additional Linux bonus stream that we threw in over here on a Monday. And we're going to be off on the next weekend. So there's no live stream coming up for 26th, 27th. The next stream will be on November 2nd. And we're going to dive into networking. Networking is big. There's a lot to understand. Everything happens over the wire. We're now getting ready to move into the networking space, which is going to bring us back to the command line, both on Microsoft and Linux. I don't know how I said Microsoft, both on Windows and Linux. So we're going to actually be doing CMD, PowerShell, and Bash activity around networking. So we're going to continue reinforcing your command line. So if you've been wondering why we haven't shown you ping and ifconfig and ipconfig and curl and wget and all that stuff, there's a reason. We wanted to show you and walk through all the sysadministration stuff on the Linux and Windows side of things, and then we're going to move into networking. So that's what's coming up next over the next couple weekends, and it's big. You can see that obviously SOC 100 focuses, the -1 course is heavily on networking. Networking is, I would arguably say that is probably the most important skill set for you to have in this technical side of things, because that's where malware hides, that's where errors occur, that's where misconfigurations yield unintentional vulnerabilities and so forth. And if we didn't have a network, we wouldn't be having mass security incidents like we've seen. All of it really comes down to data moving over the wire and how it should be constrained by security controls. And we're going to look at a whole lot of that over the next couple weekends. So the remainder of the Linux module over here, you've got a couple challenges. The first one is the ability to redirect the streams. And this challenge over here is for you to take this statement, and I want you to apply what you've learned on the data stream redirection concepts we've taught you yesterday on Sunday's stream. That was October 20th. And your challenge is to go through here and try to get it to match the output of this. And there's also some additional there's some additional efforts that you can put into it to really improve the ability of working with data streams. So it's a little bit challenging, but nothing too complex that we didn't cover in the stream, actually. Next, your other job is to improve or build a tool. So this is actually, and I'll get to this one. This is actually what James is doing for you right now. So the lab before this, building a security backup tool, actually walks you through building this backup or script like James did, adding different types of commands, getting variables included, and then it takes you all the way towards James finished you up, and then he went and showed you a lot of really cool advanced concepts for you to improve your script. So that's where this challenge continues off. The challenge now is to take this script and then apply what James taught you, go read documentation. So remember that SS64 website, head over here, go take a look at Linux is what I'm trying to say. Go and take a look at Linux and take a look at all these different forums that you can work with. And we want to be working with Bash itself. So this is where we sort of mentioned that there's ways that you can trace the script. There's a debugger. There's a lot of cool things you can do. There's a whole whack of commands that you can apply with Bash and improve your scripts. So like getopts, that's what James was talking about. You can see over here how to actually construct the getopts arguments inside of your script. Make sure you're going to be reading documentation and give the challenge a good go and really make an impressive security backup tool. And remember, these challenges and things that you build inside the course are portfolio projects. You can put them on your resume. And later on, we're going to show you actually how to build that inside of the Career Prep and Home Lab and build the GitHub and start posting your content, because that's so important. So a lot of stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and add in another resume bullet unlocked here at the end of the Linux module, probably later today or tomorrow, so that for those of you that have been able to complete it, you can have a nice another resume bullet unlocked. That's my closing remarks for all of that. And yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed the rest of Linux. Have we converted people? Like, do you want to work inside of Linux now instead of Windows? That's a question to kind of throw out there. Give them a moment. Just throw a whole bunch of stuff and then a question. Oh, Karina was already converted. Oh, look at that. Another already pre-converted. Okay. So they found their way on their own, James.
Nice.
Cool. Zeno's already messing around Cal. Yeah, nice. Not yet for Chris. He's getting there. Awesome. James, anything else you wanted to add? And then I'll wrap it up after that with you.
No, just thanks for coming, everybody. Hope you learned something.
And big thank you to James for putting himself out there for an additional stream that wasn't even included. He really wanted to spend some additional time with you guys and to walk through the rest of the Linux portion over here and make sure you understand it. Spend more time with the advanced scripting and components. So this was something we were actually going to do like on another weekend. So he's helped us get ahead of our schedule over here. So big thank you to James for leading the charge, running through all of the amazing features of scripting and variables and package management and schedule tasks. A lot of stuff covered today as well too. So thank you, James. And thank you to the chat, everyone being here on a Monday, spending time with us. And look out for the recordings. I'll have those up within this week. And again, there's no stream for next weekend. So make sure that you take your time with the content, digest it, and reach out inside of Discord if you need any help. We're here. We're still going to be around inside of Discord. You can reach out for questions. There's a lot of other SOC 100 students too that'd be happy to help out and work with you all. Cool. Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Have a good Monday. Good rest of your week. We'll see you back in the live streams November 2nd.
Have a good day, everybody.
Take care.